Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to another episode on the Life Signatures Radio. You found us in the middle of a series where we are talking about raising street smart children. I've been struggling with that word, street smart, saying street smart. It's like a tongue twister, but you know how important this is. You and I, who have lived for some few decades, we know how street smartness is critical in this life. There is being street smart on one end, and then there is being book smart on the other. If I was to select between being street smart and being book smart, I will go for street smart. You know why? Because street smart includes being book smart at some point in time. Because you can be really book smart, very good at being, an intellectual with books and so on. But when it comes to doing life in this life, you are totally off because you lack street smartness. So we're looking at the 8 pillars of raising street smart children. We've already done 2 pillars, and I want us to look at pillar number 3 in this episode today. So stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
In the several episodes that we've looked at the ramifications of being street smart and also of being book smart, and we've looked at why it is important for us to start discipling ourselves and our children, especially our children, to navigate towards being street smart. You can basically go back in the past 10 or so episodes, and you can take a look at those things that we've looked at and see what you can be able to learn. But today, I want us to do a small recap and see what we can be able to learn again today on how we can become street smart and how we can make our kids to be street smart. It is to make, things to be in perspective, things to stand in a way that works. Right? You do not want to go through life and equip yourself in such a way that after 2 decades or so, things that you've been equipping yourself with do not work. Okay? In a bid to make things easy, humans have developed systems and mass-produced people and predictably become very predictable over the past several years. We want people to go through a predictable, fixed system that guarantees them one end result so that ostensibly we can, quote unquote, make it in life. And perhaps that is the major difference between being street smart and being book smart. To be street smart, you do not need to morph into some predictable fixed system. You do not need, like we've said in the previous episode, you do not need 2 decades to become street smart. But you need, especially legally, in this day and in this age, you need at least 1.5 decades to get a certificate or a diploma so that you can be book smart in that particular area that you're taking. But in street smartness, you just need maybe minimum of 3 years in something to have noticed what it is, which is good news, because it tells you that even as you're being led into these decades of schooling, you can use some of those years to become street smart, and you can morph it with being book smart. In any case, what the world needs as we keep on developing is not necessarily book smart people. And I know this is very controversial. What the world needs is not necessarily guys who have knowledge and theory that is being replaced increasingly by AI. We need accountants, we need architects, we need doctors, we need lawyers, we need engineers, we need lecturers. We need all these book smart people, and it's a must. But we also need these guys to be street smart, and we also need everybody else to be street smart. You know why we need everybody else to be street smart? Because not everybody can be these high-end people who are always book smart, the high-end accountants and architects and the guys who are necessarily must be book smart. But even in their book smartness, like I've said, they need to be street smart. Those book smart professions form a very tiny fraction of the employable, quote unquote, employable population around the world. And unfortunately, the collective psyche of humanity has always been leaning towards, book smart people and not street smart people. But that is changing with statistics that are coming out. We know that book smart only accounts for a tiny fraction of people needed in this world. But we keep insisting on book smartness. Even you who is listening to me, chances are that 60% you are insisting on your child or your nephew or your niece or your brother to be book smart, and you're negating to teach them to be street smart. It's a different world today. The truth is that things have changed, and even though there are very few jobs for people who are book smart, there are multiplied opportunities for people who are street smart. Multiplied opportunities, they are there. And so we're learning how to be street smart. And we've said that number one, you need to teach these guys survival. You can go back 3 or so episodes back and you can check it out. And then number two, yesterday we said you need to teach these guys about relationships, how important relationships are. But then number three, today let us talk about purpose and potential. This is absolutely critical. Let me tell you what's happening today. In my family, the kids are taking Accelerated Christian Education, ACE, and therefore that means that the time that they go to school is different from the time that the other people are going to school. They closed their sessions earlier, a week earlier I think, and now they have opened a week earlier. And what is happening is that they are also part and parcel of church. In the children's ministry, they serve there. My son plays and does multimedia. My daughter sings and dances and so on. That is some of their potential. They have that potential. I have absolutely no idea where it's going to take them. But I've got to be faithful to that. I've got to be faithful. Why am I saying that? I'm saying that because they're having a show for kids at the end of the week. At the end of this week, I know you're listening to me at a totally different time, but at the end of this week that I'm recording, they're having a show on a Sunday. They have got to perform. That necessitates for them to be at church doing practice, and yet school is in session. What do you think I did? What do you think I did? I said school will always be there. But this is a moment in time that is not replicatable, is not replicated every single now and then. It's once in a blue moon that they get to perform. So I say they are going to go to practice. Let them go to school if they've got some time to go to school. But every time they're being called to go and practice, they will be there to practice. Why? Because I'm being true to their purpose. I'm being true to their potential. School is about book smart at some point in time, at some level in time. Of course, with ACE, it's changing. I interviewed someone who does that. In fact, the school they go to is appropriated by this lady. I interviewed her in one of the episodes here. What I'm saying is that if we're going to teach people to be street smart, you see, for lack of a better word, or just for the sake of argument, you and I know that for the most part, the book smart angle negates the purpose and potential that people have. It doesn't take that into consideration, or it stifles it at some level at some point in time. But street smartness takes this into consideration. It takes this purpose and potential as the raw material for the development of a whole person. For someone who should be called and someone who God has put into this place, they were necessarily put here with the raw materials of purpose and potential. If we are going to teach these guys to be book smart, at least these raw materials of purpose and potential should be the ones that we are using. We are living in a world where people need solutions, and God made us in such a way that we can offer these solutions. That's why we are gifted in some different ways. That's why some of us can be speakers, can be talkers, others can be number crunchers, others can be negotiators, others can be, performers, and so on. This world needs people to solve problems, to give solutions. And the solutions increasingly are not necessarily going to be coming from the book smart angle. We cannot kill the opportunity, the capacity, the potential, and the purpose that has been put in people and sacrifice it at the altar of being book smart. Because we're looking at the numbers that are coming out of schools today, hundreds of thousands of people every single year are graduating, and there are no quote-unquote opportunities for them to go because they're being discipled to be book smart. After school, you go to a job. And it's not happening for everyone. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it's not happening for everyone. And imagine the people who have gone through the book system, the book smart system, most of them have stifled their potential. Their natural gifts and their natural talents have not necessarily been used. That's why when we're changing these curriculums, we should look at this. I know we're calling it competency-based, but still we're herding everyone to do the same thing. We're making every kid to cook because we're calling it competency curriculum-based curriculum. That's not the way it is. I think we've just had to treat this in a different way. We've just got to come to the level where we say, this person is strong in this one, is gifted in this area, and let us disciple them in that particular area, and let us allow them to be valuable in that particular area. And the streets will need that particular area. I don't know if the streets will need the skills of my son playing bass guitar and my daughter dancing ballet. I don't know if that is going to be required of them at some point in time, but I cannot at this moment in time stifle that obvious potential and passion and interest in them at the altar of being book smart. This is controversial, I know, but I will still say it. It's where book smart enthusiasts and practitioners need to redouble their efforts. This area of purpose and potential, that is what purpose is all about. What is the purpose of being book smart if your innate gifts and innate talents are not deployed? What's the purpose? What's the purpose of studying Pythagoras' theorem and you're a gifted drummer and you're not using that talent to entertain this world? What's the point? Does it really make any point? What's the purpose of being book smart if you do not end up serving the very reason that you have potential and capacity and purpose inside of you here on earth? What's the point? A street smart child should be taught to identify their gifts and their talents, as well as identify their potential, so that they can serve their purpose. And the greatest mistake ever made is being book smart to acquire a mentality that whatever we deploy must be instantly paid for. That's what book smartness is all about. Or at least be paid at the end of the month. That's what it's all about. We look at things that can be transacted, and that's where we go. That should not be the case. And I'm going to continue talking about this in the episode tomorrow because we've run out of time. It is important that if we're discipling our kids to be street smart, we need to have the raw materials of this as their gifts, natural gifts and natural talents, and even at times their spiritual gifts and their spiritual talents. We've got to be alive to this. We've got to be alive to this. We've got to be so keen on deploying this. Don't close the door of the potential of your child or the passion of your child at the altar of them being book smart. Can't you see? Aren't we seeing the numbers today? Not everyone who is book smart is being given an opportunity to solve a problem on the face of the earth. The opportunities are few. They are very few. By all means, if someone can go through the Booksmart level, the system, yes, let them go through. But don't sacrifice their gifts and their talents and their potential and their purpose. Let us wind that point tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.